Okay, here's Stefan Nevek from Metal Universe. I'm with Matt Smith from Theocracy. Uh, how are you today, Matt?
Hey, Stefan, I'm great. It's good to be here. Good to be talking to you.
Yes, I see you're almost ready for Halloween. There's a pumpkin right behind you.
Indeed. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I think my wife came across a good deal on a pumpkin, so she couldn't resist.
Obviously. Um, so we will talk first about the new album, Mosaic. Um, I will say a few words maybe about that album. Like I said previously when we were talking before I start the recording, I'm a fan of Theocracy since 2008 with the Mirror of Souls album. And to be honest, the last album in 2016, Ghost Ship, I like that album, but it was a little bit different than the previous two albums, like
Hmm.
as the world bleeds and Mirror of Souls. I thought it was a more straightforward album, really a more mellow album, less aggressive maybe, and a lot of hooks. Obviously,
Right.
it's and just one song that was like over 6 minutes, and it was Easter to close
Mhm.
that album. Um, so that being said, when I heard the first single, Return to Dust, I was like, okay, it sounds maybe more like Ghost Ship. And I'm okay with that, but I was hoping it was more aggressive, more with the
Mhm.
trashy riff and uh, some more progressive song. And then the second single came out, and it was more a galloping song. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I really like that song, by the way. I think it's a really melodic one and great hooks. Some of the greatest hooks I think you wrote in your career as a composer.
Thank you.
And when I first heard the whole thing, I was like, oh my God, okay, I wasn't ready for that because all the things I was hoping for Theocracy just they were there, and it was like kind of maybe it was reminiscent to the two albums I really love from the band, but at the same time, it still sound fresh and uh, a continuation of everything you did before. So, tell me a little bit about that songwriting process, and did it came naturally to integrate more aggressiveness in the song, a more riffy album, more progressive one?
Yeah, it's interesting, I think when you hear the two singles sort of in context of the whole album, I think some people have said, it makes a little more sense as part of the whole journey, but yeah, it's funny, several people have said something similar to that, and it's interesting to me to hear because I never plan this stuff ahead of time when writing, as far as styles or how it goes. To me, it's funny because I drive my wife crazy with this because sometimes I get paranoid and say everything I've ever written sounds exactly the same. It's just one song over and over again and whatever, and then people will say, "Oh, this album sounded totally different from this album." So it's kind of a relief to hear that because I never plan on doing anything. So yeah, the honest answer is there was no, people have said this album is more thrashy and a little more progressive and things like that, and that wasn't intentional. It's just what came out when I wrote, and I know, when writing Ghost Ship, I was listening to a lot of some of my earliest influences, like old Queensryche and things like that, and so I think a lot of the writing, in that album kind of reflects that, and the complexity of the chords and kind of the way the arrangements and so forth, and this time it was no yeah, there was no plan, no reaction to the last album or anything like that. It's just the way the songs came out, and the songs were written, it's been a while since Ghost Ship. So the songs were written over a few years, so it wasn't all together. I mean, the only thing I did on purpose was Return to Dust, the first single, was actually the last song that I wrote, and that was because when I listened to everything that we had, I felt like we were missing that big mid-tempo, anthem song. And so just to make
Mm,
the album interesting and feel like we had all the, the peaks and valleys and the fast stuff and the slow stuff. And I thought that was missing. So I wrote that song for that purpose, just to make the album more complete. But otherwise, it's just what came out naturally.
that's really cool. And sometimes I think when you compose music, you don't want to force things. You just want to write what comes naturally because it will be um, how I can say I think it will be greater this way than to try to copy something else you did. The new album sounds exactly like Theocracy, but at the same time I don't feel it's like another copy of another song I already know. It's you have the big hooks, obviously, but there's a lot of work in the guitar department that I was missing maybe a little bit on Ghost Ship because I really do like the albums, but I think on As I World Bleeds and on Mirror of Souls, uh, the aggressiveness of the riffs, and there's a lot of riffs also. It's not just like uh, three or four riffs in the song. There's some songs that you have like eight, nine, 10, and
Right.
way more, even if we talk about Red Sea or even Liar, Fools, and Messiah. Uh, Another track I really love is Insidious. It's a really trashy one. Um, I'm really glad to hear that. I hope I will not wait another 7 years to hear some more new Theocracy, but at the same time, you always deliver quality. And I think I I watched another interview with you that you talk about uh, Return to Dust, writing that song because the album needed that breath of air to breathe a little more because there's a short ballad, but all the rest of the songs are pretty hitting pretty hard. So in the context of the album, I think Return to Dust is a perfect fit. It gives just a little bit of relief just to kick back in harder. So
Right. Yeah, I agree. I agree totally. And even in terms of so we always knew that Mosaic would be a single and a video, because I think that I love that song, and I think it really captures, kind of like you said, a lot of what we do, quiet intro, and it kicks into the gallop, and it gets heavy in the middle section, and big chorus and so forth. And then but beyond that, with we do have some longer songs this time around. Obviously, like you mentioned, really extreme with Red Sea, and also Liar for Messiah is long, Insidious is kind of long. And so there weren't that many, you know, we knew the record label wanted two videos and a lyric video, and there weren't that many choices, in the lengths as far as singles. So Mosaic was the obvious one, and then other people, kept saying how catchy Return to Dust was, and that, people need to hear this song first, and so forth. And so that was decided to be the first single, and it was really, that and Flicker, the opening track, and then when it comes to sort of your typical single and videos, those are kind of the only real choices, because beyond that, like you said, it gets pretty long and progressive and thrashy.
yeah, totally. It's a good mixture of things, and I think what I love a lot about music, it's when I'm getting surprised by something. It's like I'm expecting something, and then it's not at all what I was expected, and you surprise me with something that is that fits into the song, but I wasn't getting there, and I'm like, holy shit, okay, that that's rad. So
Right.
I think
That's
you,
great to hear, because that's that can be hard to do after 20 years and five albums, to be able to still surprise the listener, but not necessarily in a bad way. You know what I mean? No big left turns that are kind of uninteresting, and not what we do. So thank you.
yeah, but it's still cohesive, and I'm not expecting something like Metropolis of Dream Theater. getting into a complete different genres for a short period of time, or a riff or something. It's not that adventurous, but it's cohesive as a whole. And even you fast forward 2 minutes on, for example, Anonymous. I think it's one of the greatest song on the album, because the chorus is maybe the best with Mosaic. I think the guitar playing, the riff of guitar behind the beautiful melody lines is outstanding. And what I wanted to say is, even if I fast forward the song for 2 minutes, it's completely another riff, but it still fits in the song. It's not just I'm out in the nowhere. I don't get the link, because there's a link with every single things on this album, and
Great,
that's
thank you,
what.
thank you.
Yeah.
That's what we try to do. You know, it's I never like it when, and it can be a challenge. You know, you hear some bands and some long songs, especially, you hear it just sounds like everything is kind of jammed together with no thought of how it flows, and you know it takes we spend so much time on that, you know, thinking about making it, like you said, making it cohesive and making it a song take you on a journey and take you to different places, but still make sense as a whole, you know, where you can tell it's the same song and it comes back around to the initial idea. So that's great to hear. Thank you.
Yeah. Talking about you, I know that you are the main composer of the band. Obviously, it's your project from the start. Uh, but how the other bandmates are involved in the songwriting process? Are you writing like skeletons of songs, and then you send it to some members? Just tell me a little bit about that. How a song comes to life in Theocracy.
Yeah, it can work a few different ways. I have the initial ideas, you know, and the initial skeletons, and then and sometimes I'll have a complete song, and it'll be it, you know, we'll always jam on it together, you know, to work out the arrangements and feel like, you know, this needs to change here, and should go into the chorus earlier, or we should extend this part, or whatever, just to make it feel good to play as a band, but the song's already written, you know. But then other times it's a complete co-write. You know, a good example of that is the song Insidious that you mentioned. You know, the I had the main
Which one
idea
you
for
said?
that.
Insidious?
Insidious, yeah.
Okay, okay, Insidious. Okay, good.
Yeah, I had I had, you know, the main riff and the verses and the choruses. So I had basically through the second chorus, and then after the second chorus of that song, it goes into this really cool thrash kind of,
Yeah.
you know, riff section, and that was all John's. John had that section separately, and you know, I got to the point in the second chorus and thought, man, I don't really know where to go with this one from here, and then it was, John, what was that cool thrash thing that you had? You know, does that fit in this song? And we put them together and it fit perfectly, you know, the tempo and everything, and it feels like the same song. So all that, and through the solo section, you know, John wrote all that completely. So in that case, I had, you know, I had sort of the skeleton of the song, and then he brought it to life with all these other parts that he was working on separately. And Deified was kind of the same way, you know, the so I mean, some of the middle of that song was mine, and some was John. All the solo section was uh was John's. You know, when it goes into that cool thrashy middle section, where it's like "Burn your idols," da, 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 that whole thing. That
Yeah.
was originally just going to all be a solo section, and you know, that John wrote, and I said, man, these riffs are too good. You know, I need to see if I can,
Sing
you know, find
something.
some vocals over it. Yeah, and so it's really a song by song thing, you know. And but yeah, usually the initial idea starts with me, and then the other guys help bring it to life in various ways, whether that be, you know, actually, you know, co-writing half the song, like in those examples, or just an arrangement thing where we get together as a band and make it feel cohesive to play.
Really nice. So John loves his thrash metal.
Right. Yeah, yeah. He was really a monster on this album, man. He came up with some great stuff.
Yeah, totally. And I was wondering, because Taylor Washington is in the band. It's been a year, I think. Was he involved in the songwriting process at all, or just he did some solos, guitar solos here and there?
No, actually, he everything was written when he joined, and in fact, we had already recorded the drums when he
Okay.
joined. So it was really just we talked about ideas and parts and what felt right, but as far as the writing this time around, it was already there, so it was just the solos. But he had so much work to do, and it's like, all right, here's 10 songs, and there's you know whatever 12 solos or whatever. So here you go. So I think it was kind of overwhelming, but man, what a job he did. I mean, the solos are great, as you hear, and I think the cool
Oh
thing I
yeah.
like about it is they're all different and they all have personality, and you can tell that it's him playing it, but everything fits the song, and there's no like preconceived all right, here's what I'm gonna do no matter what, like some guitar players can be. It was just it fits the song, and it's completely, each one goes on a journey that makes sense with the parts around it. And then beyond that, some of the other guitar playing, even though, like I said, we were already well into recording, when he came on board, but he has such a great. See, I had recorded his other band Paladin, their first
Yeah.
album, and so
Saw them
so
last Sunday.
oh, did you really?
Yeah,
Where
yeah, I
at?
saw them with Only G Archers. It was really,
Oh,
really
great,
good.
great, great. Yeah, yeah. So you saw firsthand how great he is, so I knew
Yeah,
his playing and also his singing, just, I mean, and he was the Theocracy fan from years ago, so he fit right in with what we were doing, and knew what we were doing. But I knew, from working with him before, that even his touch on the guitar, you know, his vibrato and things like that, it's really special. So even some of the rhythm parts, even though we were already recording, it's like, hey, do you mind re-recording the like the intro riff from Return to Dust, because it just sounded so much better with him playing it, so
yeah.
yeah, it was great to have him on board, and yeah, it was after the writing this time around, but I can't wait to write with him as well.
I think it will be a great addition to add some IDs, and he's playing really well. I love the first album of Paladin, and I think they will release another one on 2000 in 2024. Can't wait to hear that.
I hope
Um,
so. Yeah.
yeah, cross my fingers. Uh, because live they were really good, even as a three pieces, because the bassist couldn't make it.
Right.
Um, so John played all the solos on the album. Is that what you said,
No, no,
or
Taylor played all the
is it,
solos
okay?
except
He
for,
played okay all the solos
yeah,
except
yeah.
some.
John played a solo in Deified, and I think that was the only one that John did this time around.
Okay,
All the
and
rest was
so
Taylor.
and how do you proceed? You said like you have 16 bars. You play a solo in there, and you will just come out with something.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it. This is the solo section is from 3 minutes and 10 seconds to 3 minutes and 35 seconds or whatever. So here you go. And then I mean, he's so good that was really all there was to it. I mean, there were maybe a couple songs I said, think of, try to make it really melodic and kind of bluesy or whatever, you know, just
Gave him a
some very,
direction
yeah,
on
just some
certain
some very
solos.
general some very general guidance. But I mean, if I did that at all, it was only a couple times. I mean, and there was
Okay.
no case of, he never came back with anything, and it was like, that doesn't quite fit. I mean, every time he sent something, I was like, wow, perfect. I got no notes.
Yeah.
You're better than I could ever play in a million years. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. it's nice to have, all professionals on board that you can trust, and they know what they're doing, and they're way better at it than I could ever dream of being. So that's the reason they're in the band.
Yeah, totally. He bring more virtuosity, maybe, but
Right.
he has so much feelings. It's not an Ingrid Malmsteen solo. It's like very felt. So and you don't hear that there's a clash with the riffs and the whole mood of the song, and then his solos. No, it's just really fluid. So
I agree. And then also the variety, if you like the Return to Dust solo versus, which is so kind of melodic and just almost like 80s in a classic, just great way. And versus, to say, the Insidious solo, which it was so aggressive and thrashy and kind of noisy, and then
yeah,
the Liar Fool or Messiah solo, which almost sounds like it could be off Images and Words or something like that. He's just,
more
yeah,
technical.
yeah, he amazes me with what he does. So it's great.
Yeah, I'm really happy that when I heard that he was part of the band, I was like, oh my God, I'm excited, even more excited to hear that.
Great,
So,
great.
because Van Halen Wood did a pretty good job, especially on As the World Bleeds. I think there's some very mesmerizing solos. The solos in High End, for example, is so beautiful, and I think it brings the song to just another level.
Yeah, I agree. And the solo on As the World Bleeds, the song, I think, is really special too. So he
Yeah.
definitely had some shoes to fill, but I think he did a great job.
Oh yeah, totally. Uh, what are your three favorite track on Mosaic?
Oh my
Because I have
goodness.
three.
Do
It's
you really?
difficult. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man, that is
I
that is
think it's
difficult.
there's no filler on that album, by the way. That's always great quality in each and every song, and there's a distinctive sound in every song too. But
I know it's a cliche to say that it changes for me, but it really does. I mean, if you ask me week to week, I'll have different answers. I mean, the one that will probably always be consistent is Mosaic. I love that song, the title
yeah,
track. That one for me
memorable.
is really, yeah, it's really special. Um, it's hard not to say Red Sea because
Yeah,
it's
man.
such an epic. I mean, and it's been such a part of my life for so long, so, and then for third one, um, man, I don't know. I really, right now I'll say Flicker because I really love that song as well.
Yeah, it's a great
Yeah,
opener.
yeah,
Quite short,
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
pretty well.
So yours, let me guess, we got Sinsidious.
My three favorite. It's difficult because Red Sea has to be there.
Right, right.
Sincedius, I like really the middle part and the
Hmm.
whole song, but the middle part. And I have an hesitation between Mosaic and Anonymous. I think Anonymous has such a great chorus, but Mosaic as well. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
that anonymous main
those four.
riff is definitely a monster. That was one that riff has been hanging around for a while. I thought, I've got to
Which one?
anonymous, that main
Oh
riff,
yeah, yeah,
the intro.
yeah.
It's so rocking. That's one that's been on the plan, since a little bit after the last album. It's like, all right,
Okay.
we got to work this into a song somehow, and finally the song was written around it.
The main chorus, the main riff is really, really, really good, and the chorus is so good, so good with the riff behind it. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
a
thank
perfect
you.
match. It's not just chords. It's really a
Right,
riff that
right,
can live on its own.
right,
So,
right.
so the two together is just perfect mixture, I think.
Thank you.
An epic moment. But Red Sea, there's so many parts. I could talk about that song for a long time. Like Mirror of Souls, it's such. I'm not sure because I didn't listen to it like more than maybe I listened to the whole album 7 or 8 times, and Mirror of Souls maybe. 60 times or even more. So it's
Right.
difficult to say, but I think maybe I will love it even more than Mirror of Souls. It's
Wow.
the same caliber of song, at least.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, you've probably heard the story of that song by now, but maybe not for anyone who hasn't. I mean that song has been around since before the first Theocracy album. You know,
Oh
I
my
wrote that
God.
song. Yeah, I wrote Red Sea when I was 19, and it was it wasn't as good as it is now. You know, it had
I'm sure.
it's like some of the part some of the most of the music was there. You know, some of it was rough. So that was the last big idea from the past that I was hanging on to. I mean, you know, pretty much every album there's been a really old idea that finally, you know, from the archives that finally, you know, was fleshed out and brought to completion, you know, to see the light of day. I mean, there's several examples, but you know, you mentioned Mirror of Souls. You know, the song Martyr on that album was from long before the first Theocracy album, and it came out on Mirror of Souls. You know, and Red Sea was the same way, but that one I knew it needed so much work because I was so young when I wrote it, and it just, you know, it was immature in a lot of ways, and it didn't flow as well as it could have. So it was a case of, you know, that was one where I was always thinking, you know, are we going to be able to revisit Red Sea, you know, one day? Is it going to be, you know, are we going to be able to make it good enough to release? And so then after the last album, we took a break and I had some downtime. So I said, okay, now's the time to finally drag it out and see if, you know, we can update it enough to make it good enough to release. So I spent, you know, several weeks, you know, working on it, and I kept the good parts and threw away the bad parts and rewrote some things and rearranged some things and made a new demo and sent it to the guys, and they, to my surprise, they all loved it, you know, and said, yeah, we've got to do this one. And so that's when it really felt like, okay, now, you know, now we have another album in us, you know, because we have a big epic and we have some other songs. So, you know, once we write a
Nice.
few more, you know, it'll be an actual album. So yeah, it took a lot of work to get it to where it is now, you know, but I'm very happy with the way it came out. And I think I'm glad to hear you think it sits alongside, you know, Mirror of Souls and some of the longer ones that we've done in the past.
Oh yeah, it was worth the wait.
Right.
Almost 20 years in the works, but it's really really good, and I think more a song. The longer the song, the, the it's more difficult to keep it interesting for first, and to keep it cohesive, and because sometimes after 10 minutes you're like, okay, the parts from it's not cohesive with the rest, so it's really hard to do something that it's that long and keep the interest of the listener, and still staying in the realm of the song.
I agree. I agree that, you know, there's a lot of, as I was kind of alluding to earlier, you know, some long songs that you hear like that are like, okay, you say this is the same song, but it really, you know, what I'm
Yeah.
hearing now has nothing to do with what came before or came after. And you know, it's cool. I mean, it doesn't need to be obviously the same part over and over again. You know, it had, you know, if you're going to make a long song, it needs to be fresh and keep you engaged, you know, as a listener. But yeah, it really has to do with, you know, the concept of the song and all the music taking you on a journey and making it pay off, you know, and so yeah, I'm happy to hear you say that, because there's definitely a discipline to it, you know, and in knowing how far to go and and not going so far that it's, you know, it's not really the same song anymore. You know, it's like, so I think it does sound cohesive and take you on a journey at the same time.
Yeah, it feels all related, because
Yeah.
sometimes you will listen to a 10-minute plus song and it's like, eh, at the fourth minute marks, and then you fast forward to the 10 minutes marks and you're like, it's a complete different song, and there's nothing alike. So
Yeah,
it's cool
that's
to
a yeah, that's a lot of what I had to work on too when I revisited it, you know, because of being so young when I wrote it. So there was more of that, you know, this doesn't really fit, you know, this doesn't feel like the same song. So sort of, you know, as you get experience and having done a few of these, you kind of learn how to massage it into what it needs to be.
Totally. Yeah. Um, it doesn't feel 20 minutes. It's like the song every single time the album finished, I'm like, okay, it's already done.
Oh, that's great. That's great to
Because
hear. Yeah.
I think you had an album with just the first 9 songs. It's an album, and the
Right.
closing track of 19 minutes and more is just a big bonus to end this thing with such an epic feel, and it's very melodic, and it adds really trashy parts, but also the some of the smoothest part of the album as well. So you're really going into a journey, and I love that kind of song. I will not compare that to like the Odyssey by Symphonic, but because it's one of the best
Right.
long song ever written.
Right.
But I think it's one of it's at least one of the best Theocracy song and one of the best prog power song of maybe the last decade. Certainly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so
For
much.
me, for me, I know some people doesn't like it because it's too long, but that kind of people generally will not listen to songs that are more than 6 or 7 minutes. So it's
Right.
already
Right. And
discarded.
yeah, I don't think they'll like us very much anyway because we have so many so many long
Yeah.
songs. But yeah, I appreciate you saying that because I think there is a thing too with you know, some people are fine with packing every second of music onto an album, and it can, and I'm not really like that. I do think there's sort of a sweet spot for the length of an album, you know, usually
Oh
around
yeah.
an hour, 50 minutes to an hour, you know. And so you know, with Red Sea, that actually took it, you know, a little bit longer than I usually like to have an album because we ended up at 66 minutes or whatever. But like you said, I think it flows, and I think it doesn't really feel long. So by the end of it, you're you're not ready for it to end. You know, you're not tired of it. I think it's, I'm happy to hear you say that you think it's a nice cohesive listening experience that doesn't feel like it overstays its welcome, you know.
But
Anyway.
we are heading into the last part of the interview. Just some other random question.
Mm-hmm.
Um, any interest in playing in 70,000 tons of metal, for
Oh, of
example?
course. That would be great. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
I'd
I'm
love to see Theocracy there for sure. I think the I was there last year and I will be there this year as well. And I think the fact that you can play two different sets, it's really cool because you can bring other songs that normally you will never play live. So
exactly. Yeah, we've done a few like that where it's been, you know, sort of a main big set and then a smaller side stage set, you know, with different songs, or you know, an acoustic set or whatever. It's been different every time. So I would love to do it.
cool, cool. And I know it's almost the lineup is almost done, but you're in Atlanta, I think.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
Prague Power USA, you must be there every single year, or
Yeah, most years. Yeah, and we've played it a few times, you know, and it's the best festival around for that kind of music. I mean, the great thing about Prague Power, aside from obviously the bands and the people and the professionalism, is the size of it. You know, it's, you know, Glenn Harvest and the promoter, he could have gone to a bigger venue, you know, years and years ago, but he kept it the
yeah,
same size, and it just works so well, you know, because it's in a nice size theater. It's not too small, it's not too big, you know, and it keeps sort of the same people coming back, and new people cycling in and out. And so it has a nice sort of family feel to it as well. So it's a great fest.
yeah, I think so. I've never been there, but I think I'll be there next year. But I know the first 2 days are already sold out. So, but day three and day four are the ones that I'm even more interested in. So, I will try to be a first day buyer for those two
Yeah.
days because I need to get there,
Yeah, you
obviously.
have to come down. Well, if you do, you'll have to say hi. We'll have to meet up for sure.
Oh. uh, I will.
Yeah.
uh, Another question I had on my finger is Project Aegis.
Mhm.
It's not Theocracy. It was more other songs. You wrote 3 songs total for that project. It's a side project. You welcomed a lot of great guests of the prog power scene. Do you plan to write any more songs in that project or?
I would love to. There's no plan right now, but I'm absolutely open to it. So real quick for any listeners who don't know, Project Aegis was it's a charity project basically. So our former label, Ulterium Records, the president of that label, Emil, he came to me with the idea one time, what if we release a song with different singers and have all the money from the song go to a cause, some good cause,
Yeah.
And so we've done 3 of them, and they've all 3 been very different. And they've all 3 had different singers, and they've all 3 gone to different causes. Like one went to a music school for disadvantaged youth, run by someone I know. The other one was to a homeless ministry, and so it's been different every time, and it's a great idea. So, um, yeah, I would love to do that again one day. No plans at the moment. It can be a lot of work in terms of getting sort of chasing down everybody to
Yeah.
sing their parts, and I mean, I'm not the only one who's busy, so it can be challenging. But I think it's so far they've all 3 been worth it. So hopefully we can do another one someday.
Holy, it's the 3 songs are really, really, really good. Yeah. And I'd love to hear a little bit more of that. Um, I asked for your 3 favorite song of Theocracy in the album Mosaic, but 5 favorite song of the whole project Theocracy. Your 5 favorite on the
Five
top of
favorite
your head.
Theocracy songs. Oh man.
I know
Wow.
it's
Yeah, that's
an
gonna
atrocious question, I
no,
know.
it's one of those that I feel like I wish I had 2 weeks to think about my answer.
To re-listen to the whole
Yeah.
album.
So I can only go off the top of my head because it changes constantly. There's a song on Ghost Ship called "Currency in a Bankrupt World" that I love. So that's up there. Um, let's see, a song from the first album called "The Serpent's Kiss"
Oh yeah, that's good.
would be on there. Um,
That's a
let's
great song.
see,
There's
"I
a lot of
Am."
longer songs. I
Yeah,
am
"I Am."
obviously.
You've got to have on there, of course. Um, Let me think. Mosaic, I'll say. And so that leaves me one more. Hmm, Mirror of Souls. Yeah,
Universal. Yeah,
there you go.
obviously.
Yeah.
That's a cool choice. You
I knew
like the
I
longer
knew there was
songs.
something obvious I was forgetting. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many good songs on that album. So it's really difficult to choose, and I think the title track of "As the World Bleeds" is so good. There's a lot of different parts, and it flows so well.
Yeah, I love that song too. We've been playing it live again a lot lately, so
Oh
that's been really
yeah,
fun. Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to
Yeah.
see that live. 30 Pieces of Silver is also a kick-ass song. Shorter
Hmm.
one, but
Yeah.
so much energy in it. Um, I will do a little. I want to know your opinion on 4 albums really quickly. It's
Okay.
I named that Banger or Stinker. So I will show you a cover of an album that is not like mainstream popular. Some people hate it, some people loved it. I want to know your opinion, and if you don't know the album, obviously you can't answer. But I will
Okay.
start with that one, with one of my favorite band of all time, Night at the Opera by Blind Guardian.
I would say banger. I that album I haven't heard in so many years, so I need to go back to it. I remember all the complaints about it being over layered.
Production,
Yeah. Yeah, but at the
number of
time
layers. Yeah,
I was so into the big vocal layers, that I
my
loved it.
God.
Yeah, but obviously there's nobody better than Hansi at that. So
Yeah,
just based on nostalgia, I'll say banger.
Yeah, it's one of my greatest banger, but I know a lot of people that are like, it's too overproduced. There's too many layers.
Right.
We don't hear enough Andre with the lead guitar, and I can hear the complaints, but at the same time, it's so bombastic. It's maybe the most bombastic and epic power metal album ever.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So cool. Uh, this one. Avantasia with
Oh,
Ghost
banger.
Lights. Banger
Banger.
too, huh?
Yeah.
It's my
Yeah.
favorite Avantasia album, but
Is it
it's not
really?
the favorite. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
even better than Metal Opera Part 1 and
That's
2.
great.
But my favorite song is still Seven Angels, but
Hmm.
uh
Yeah, I think yeah, I'm sort of friends with Tobias because we have the same webmaster, and so
oh yeah.
I've yeah, we've spoken several times over the years, and yeah, he's just one of the greatest. I think that's a great album.
Yeah, me too. I think as the whole album is really good because I love all the Avantasia album, but I think from start to finish, there's so many different type of song on this one. There's a lot of diversity, and it's all cohesive. I love all the song on that one.
I totally agree. Yeah,
I don't know if you're familiar with Twilight Force,
I'm
as I
familiar
am.
with them, but I don't know the album. I haven't heard it.
That was the one, the first one with the new singer Alexandro Conti, who was
Okay.
with Luca Turilli on his
Oh
solo
yeah.
album, Luca
Okay.
Turilli's Rhapsody.
From
So
Rhapsody. Yeah.
take a listen at that because a lot of people doesn't like it because it's not Christian Eriksen anymore on
Right.
vocals. He
Right.
was on the first two albums that are really epic, obviously, but I think it's a really cool album too.
You like it?
And
Okay.
oh yeah, I like it.
I am not familiar with that one either. I don't think. Which one is that?
The Frozen Tears of Angel.
Fro-
It's the last album with Luca Turi on guitar.
I haven't heard it. I'm ashamed to admit. Yeah,
Oh no,
I yeah, I
there's
listened
so
to
many
Rhapsody
out
a
there.
lot early on, and then I sort of once we got going, I guess I kind of fell
Yeah.
off the train. Not intentionally, it's just there's only so many hours in the day.
Oh my
So
God. I think we have the same problem with
yeah,
aging. It's like
yeah,
you have much more responsibility and
yeah.
you can do everything you want. So it's more difficult. Uh, that will be all, Matt. It's what's
Okay.
so cool to have the chance to do this interview and to ask some question that I have on top of my head for a long time. So I had so much more, but we have to call it a day.
Next time. Thank you,
Yes,
Stefan. It was
sir.
great. It was great to talk to you.